So it's been about 2 weeks now since Black Swan World Boss Legend Plus came out. And I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on this because I see a lot of people asking, I see a lot of people concerned, what farming should I be doing, what world boss should I be focusing on, etc., etc. So I want to start off by saying, for sure, you want to rush World Boss Legend as fast as possible. They made it easier now than ever, and that's one of the biggest pluses to this update and in general to updates in the last year, is how easy they made getting through World Boss Legend. Not just getting to World Boss Legend, they made getting to World Boss Legend a lot easier. I don't think you have to do all the bullshit with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver anymore. I'm pretty sure it's just 3 quests. It's just whoop Thanos' ass 5 times, have some tier 3s, and beat the story. I'm pretty sure they made it super easy to get to Null, which is very good, which means you can start mass farming and mass accumulating CCF because it's guaranteed here, and then also tier 4 materials. And then you're going to go through and you're going to unlock, Mephisto, because Mephisto needs you to beat Null 5 times. And then you're going to unlock Ultron because Ultron wants you to beat Mephisto and Null 5 times, whatever. Anyways, you're going to unlock them all, right? You're going to unlock them all. Let's be real. You're going to unlock all the bosses because it's really not that hard. We did on stream. I beat Swan stage 1 or stage 2 with 0 Pierce. I switched my cards over to 0 Pierce, and I beat it with a Mighty Rage Black Panther. It wasn't even the best build possible. It wasn't even an energy or a judgment type character. My Namor with a Mighty Judgment would have done that even faster with no Pierce. Anywho, so the question then is, once you unlock all the bosses, because it's way easier now, which bosses should you be focusing on? And I think my answer is going to surprise some people, but it's basically pretty straightforward. It's the last 3 bosses. So it's either Jean or Kang or Black Swan. My advice is not just farm Black Swan, especially if she's not your boss of the day. And I want to really hammer this point home, because if you've been having the kind of RNG that I've been having with World Boss of the Day, it's been dog. It's been pretty dog. I spent 40 million gold twice in about a week trying to get Black Swan and failing. So I do want to caution players against doing that, but I would say you should widen your net. There's a 14% chance because it's a 1 in 7, right? So there's a 14% chance for each boss to appear, which means if you aim for Jean, Kang, or Black Swan, you've got almost a 50% chance. You've got about a 43% chance every time you refresh to get that boss. Now, obviously, if you don't have World Boss of the Day refreshing unlocked, if you're low VIP, then yeah, that's not an option for you. But if it is an option for you, I would say farm one of these 3 bosses. And the reasons are quite simple. Black Swan gives the best rewards. Okay, that's pretty well established. In terms of tier 4 materials, Black Swan gives the most tier 4 materials. And she also gives you a chance to get all of the CTPs, right? All of the mighty CTPs that are currently available, which is pretty cool. Kang gives you slightly less than Black Swan, but he still gives you quite a lot, and you can farm much higher stages, right? I'm farming in the teens. I'm farming mostly 15 to 19 against Black Swan, with a couple of stages in the 20s. Whereas for Kang, I'm farming 50, I'm farming 45, I'm farming 40. It's much, much higher, so you can climb your Conqueror XP faster, right? And then Jean gives noticeably less tier 4 materials than Black Swan, and sometimes a little bit less than Kang, but Jean has the distinct and unique advantage of giving you Phoenix materials, right? And the M-Cron crystals. This is very valuable if you're trying to craft cards, especially when you're crafting cards. And genuinely, you should be crafting cards forever, right? You should focus, of course, on using these materials to build up certain mutants like Jean, Wolverine, etc. But once you've got your whole roster filled out, or you've got most of them, right? You're not going to necessarily build up Warpath or some shit like that. Then you for sure can start using these to craft cards, and that's a lifelong thing. That's a lifelong thing. I'm still crafting cards, and it's super value. This is super duper value here. So yeah, that's why, in my opinion, those three bosses are the ones you should be focusing on. These 4 clowns that you see here, Null, Mephisto, Ultron, Gore, I know some people are going to say you should farm them because they have a chance to drop a specific book, right? There's a chance up for specific books. But my experience, and I know it's only a 2-week slice, but my experience in the last 2 weeks since Black Swan came out, almost 2 weeks. I know I keep saying 2 weeks. It's not exactly 2 weeks, but it's almost 2 weeks. Has been that I've gotten a ton of books. As you can see here, I spent 10 speed books a couple of days or yeah, 2 days after the update dropped to build up Black Swan, right? And I'm back to 10 already. And I didn't buy any books. I didn't use up any selectors that were in my inventory. I'm already maxed out. So I kind of question how necessary this is with the new book selector pity, meaning that at most it's going to take you 2 days, you know. Like, sure, you could farm Null and he could drop you a book in 2 days, or he could not. And in the meantime, you're sacrificing actually a lot of tier 4 materials, right? So that's kind of my first opinion. I do also want to highlight that you should always, 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 always play your world boss of the day. Always. I've seen some people talk about this. They're like, oh, you know, I roll for whatever, Jean 5 times. If I don't get her, I just play her anyways. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. You're giving up a lot of tier 4 materials. You're giving up a lot of carbonadium every day by not playing a world boss legend of the day that you have. So I strongly recommend that you reconsider that stance, especially if you're finding that you need more carbonadium than you have. Like, that's clearly 100% the reason why. So in general, that's my take. You should unlock all of the world boss legends as fast as you can, and then you should generally focus on Phoenix, Kang, and Black Swan. Now I want to take a bit of a different path here and talk about why we're probably not going to see many more, if any more, World Boss Legends or World Boss Legend Plus. And I'll actually go as far as to say I would suspect we're only going to get 1 or 2 more ever for World Bosses. I think we're going to max out at whatever, you know, what we're at. We're at 6 now. I think we're going to we're at 7 now. We're going to max out at like 8 or 9. And the reason for that is pretty simple. We don't have any more CTPs. I noticed this and I started thinking about this when they added all of the existing CTPs that drop from all of the other bosses, right? Plus the egg and the insight, because those don't drop, right? There's no bosses that drop those right now, right? We have Null here. We have Mephisto. We have Ultron. We have Gore. We have Jean. We have Kang. So they gave her refinement and insight. They could have just given her refinement and insight, right? Think about that. They could have just given her the first 2, but they gave all of them. They gave all of them plus 2 more, right? That also, not only does that break the logic of the existing bosses where they each only get 1 because they gave her 2, but then they doubled down on it by giving her all of the rest of them as well. So really, if you're just going to farm stage 1 of any boss, it completely invalidates farming anyone but Black Swan. If you can do stage 1 Black Swan, there's no reason to ever do stage 1 Null. Because really, the only thing, the very small, minute detail between Null and Black Swan, again, assuming you can do both 5 times a day, is that Null has a slightly higher chance, and we don't even know how much higher that chance is, of giving combat books, right? There's no other reason, because you could say before, oh, I'm farming Mephisto because of the regen. You don't have to do that anymore. Just farm Black Swan. You get more materials, and you have the same chance of getting the regen, plus even better CTPs, right? But then that got me thinking, there's not that many CTPs left, right? They purposely avoided putting the Mighty Rage in, because they know that that's the most popular CTP. And then they recently added the Mighty Conquest, right? That's it. There's only 2 left. We're done. Unless they add even more CTPs, which I guess they could do. That is the one flaw in my thinking and my sort of logic, quote unquote. But I don't think they're going to do that. And yeah, I think that we're looking at, you know, the beginning of the end for World Boss Legend content. And I'm actually really happy about that. I have to say, as much as I find the Black Swan fight exciting and interesting because it has new mechanics, I really wish it was somewhere else. I really wish this was like a GBR boss, or this was some new sort of like PvP thing, or anything. Anywhere else really would have been more exciting. Some new ultimate dispatch boss for Sector 14, some new ultimate Shadowland boss that you can, you know, fight with multiple characters against. I don't really care, man. But I'm just really tired, and I think a lot of players are tired of only seeing innovations in World Boss, right? Very few game modes get the love and attention needed for innovation, and I feel like at this point it's being wasted in World Boss, because there's just so much, there's frankly too much overlap between rewards and between mechanics that it all starts to sort of blur together, for one. And for 2, it's just massively, you know, an issue of oversaturation and power creep. Like I just mentioned, right? Black Swan can drop all of the CTPs, fucking all of them, plus 2 more, right? Like, why would you ever play anyone but Black Swan as long as she's your world boss of the day? Really, the world boss of the day feature is the only reason why you would ever play the other clowns, right? And of course, limited time, very rare events like this where they force you to fight against the shitty bosses. Notice how I've done all my other quests except those? You want to know why? Because I don't want to fight Null and Mephisto. I don't. Because the rewards are just categorically worse. They're just straight up worse. Now, they will make a case. There will be a time that comes when they give Null, when they give Mephisto a rework, a uniform, a artifact, when you will want to go back and beat these bosses, right? And of course, now there's a reason, you know, go back and beat Gore to get his artifact, get her artifact, get his artifact, so on. That's a one-time thing, a two-time thing, whatever. But I genuinely think that the devs need to realize that new world bosses are just not really cutting it anymore. And I just don't know why they don't realize how fun it was when they introduced a character through GBR, right? Still Silver Surfer. This is essentially the same logic as World Boss, because the thing with World Boss is they want to introduce a new, really powerful, really expensive character, like, you know, Mephisto, like Null, like Gore, like Kang, like Black Swan, and they have to have a vehicle with which to do it. So they create a new World Boss. Why not just create a GBR, or create something else? I don't really care. Create some sort of PvP boss that's controlled by the AI or whatever, or that's controlled by top players, and then everybody else has to go and beat that AI. And if you beat the AI, you get one of their bios. Like, just apply this logic anywhere else and it sounds cool. But constantly having it in World Boss is, at this point, I think it's just redundant, boring, and we're way past the point of oversaturation, right? We're way past the point of oversaturation. So yeah, personally, secretly, not so secretly, I hope that Black Swan is the last world boss. I don't want to see any more world bosses. Personally, I'm done. I'm fucking done with world bosses. I think that's done. I don't even care that we're not gonna have Mighty Rage and Mighty Conquest chance to drop in World Boss Legend. Put it somewhere else, please. For the love of God, put it somewhere else, because this is what ruins the game, and this is what ruined the game years ago, when all of their effort only went into World Boss, and the other game modes just kept deteriorating and rotting and dying, and the devs were just like, huh, I wonder why fewer people are playing our game. I guess we should release more bosses. No, dude. I know in the HQ over in Korea, you guys love having managers, you love having bosses, you love the hierarchy, you love the social status, you love having you love pressing out your new business cards. I don't care. We don't need any more fucking bosses in this game mode. Sure, we need more bosses in other content. That's the keyword. Other content. So yeah, anywho, this was sort of like a two-part video. I had sort of advice on one hand and then sort of opinion on the other hand. They weren't really worth a video each, but they are, you know, intrinsically linked, so I thought I would put them together. Anyways, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think, and actually I want to hear from you and your opinions on Black Swan. Do you think this was a cool boss? Do you think this was an innovative boss? Do you think this was an unnecessary boss? Hit me up. Thanks for watching. Smash the like button, helps with the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.